Hi there, this is Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap. And our theme recently has been about how do you create a ripple effect as a business analyst, and what's your ripple effect as a business analyst? And today I want to go a little bit deeper and share 3 examples of ways that some of our course participants have used business process analysis and improvement activities to really transform their career. So they definitely had that ripple effect in their organizations and created drastic change for their organizations, but they also received a personal transformation, either in terms of more respect or moving into the business analyst role for the first time. So let me jump right in here though. We have the first story is Arcana. So Arcana was a practicing business analyst when she started coming to the business process course. But she had this frustration where she wasn't getting all the requirements that she needed, and she would kind of like communicate out to the stakeholders, and it was really waiting for them to bring the requirements to her, and she didn't have a strategy for reaching out and getting the requirements from them. And so when she took the course, she started doing the techniques right away on the projects that she was actively involved in as a BA, and it was like a switch flipped, right? So she went from people kind of not being super engaged with her work, maybe not responding to her emails, not showing up for her meetings, or just being like, I don't know the answers to all these questions that you're asking, to having a strategy to reach out and find the questions to ask and walk them through a structured approach to giving her essentially what became the requirements. All your functional requirements in the software, they just kind of fall out of the business process. So, and when you start to talk at that level, often stakeholders are much more like, it's much easier for them to give you the information you need that you can then pull the requirements out of as a business analyst. So fast forward, I think it was within a year or two of participating in the course, Arcana is really thriving in her business analyst role. She's actually been promoted to a senior business analyst and is in charge of updating and improving the practice in her organization. So she kind of went from I'm not sure if this is right for me, things aren't going well, I'm not getting great feedback on my work, to promoted as a senior BA and seen as a leader and a trusted, respected leader within her organization. First story. So for those of you who are practicing BAs, if you're not doing this kind of thing, that's the kind of shift it can have for you. So let's talk next about Adam. And Adam was in customer service when he did business process analysis, right? So he wasn't even a business analyst yet, but he took our course and he went to his manager and said, I'd love to help you improve a process or analyze a process. Is there anything that is troublesome? Anything bothering you? Anywhere I could be of service? And his manager's like, yes, we have all this stuff that's supposed to show up at these trade shows, and it's always a mess, and we don't have the things that we need, and we get there and we're scrambling, and let's sit down and map this out. And so Adam led that session and actually walked through all the steps that we talk about in the free training that you can get to discover the process, analyze the process, and improve the process. And one of the things, I got to interview Adam a while back, and he talked to me about this experience. And one of the pieces I remember so clearly is he said, I really thought that I needed to have this list of questions to ask, or I needed to be super, super prepared going into the first session. He's like, but I decided to trust you. And one of the techniques we teach in the course is you basically just, here's the starting point of the process, here's the ending point of the process, and you map that out for your stakeholders, not the stuff in between. And then you say, if we're starting here and ending here, tell me what happens in between. And, not every stakeholder is going to come in and start doing a lot of, telling you everything, but probably 75 to 80% of them will just at least give you something to go from, at least 3 steps that fit in between that start point and end point, right? Something to start to analyze and ask questions around. So it's a great way when you're I don't know what questions to ask, just that's the question. What happens in between this start point and this end point? And it worked for Adam. And I know, that's a quick tip that you can apply if you're where do I start on a project? Just, hey, here's the start point, end point. Tell me what happens in between. Let's draw it out together. Okay, so what I want to close with Wendy's story, and Wendy was also not in business analysis when she took our course. She was a software developer, And Wendy really wanted to become a business analyst, and I forgot to mention Adam. About a year after that, also transitioned into his first business analyst role, and the same is true for Wendy. So she went through the course. She documented a process actually in her technology organization. We don't think of technology as a business process, right? Technology and business aren't those two separate things, but she documented the process that her tech team went through to customize and release and deploy updated software for a client. And it was a process that software developers wanted to automate, and management kind of wanted to understand better. And she went and said, I'd love to use some of the techniques I'm learning about in this course to do this a little bit better, or to analyze it and bring some clarity to it. She ended up getting to present that business process in a manager level meeting, so very high level stakeholders, and talk to some of the improvements that they could make right away. And then she started getting invited to customer meetings, and then she started to talk more openly about her goals to become a business analyst. And a year or so later, that seems to be the key here. Like, you do these things, and then a year or so later, this awesome stuff happens. But so a year or so later, she was promoted into a business analyst role that was created specifically for her. So those are 3 examples from the hundreds of participants we've had in this course. Like, hey, I can't do this, but like, remember, Adam did it, Wendy did it, Arcana did it, right? They were all in maybe similar, probably a little different, but they were in your shoes not too long ago, and they did it, and it made a big, big difference for them. And that's why we so much, all of our training at Bridging the Gap always challenges our course participants to bring that work back to their organizations, their domains, because that's where we should see the shifts happen, instead of like taking a training and then a few weeks later, a few months later, applying the training, and then, oh, wait, like, let me kind of, maybe somewhere along the road, your employer starts to see the value from that. Like, you have that value immediately in the course. Like, the first week, you're mapping out a process in a discovery session, you're asking some questions, even if it's just you and one other person, and it makes a huge difference in the confidence that you receive from that work, and the results that you receive in your career, and how your employer learns to appreciate your skills as a business analyst. Because again, you've got so much to offer. We're just going to help you put those tweaks and those structures in place to make it a reality. So again, I'm Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap, and we help mid-career professionals like you start business analyst careers.